Doon po tayo hakbang sa close to the edge. So, Ate Joan, mauna kayo. Tapos kamay mo, Ate Joan, nakaganito kayo. Nakakamay. Yeah. Alright, good. Would you want to share with us your experience doing online physical therapy in the last 10 months?
I started thinking about taking therapy with you again because I was worried because of the pandemic. I'm supposed not to go out of the house. So I don't know what to do now because I have to be in prison in the house. You cannot go out. When you suggested that I take online exercises, I said I just had to do it. I think it's better because you, as my therapist, would program exercises that would address my concerns. It's great, George. I really felt the difference before and after the exercises. I noticed I have gained my strength and my flexibility. I could balance myself better. After the exercises, I noticed I could easily lift my legs and bend my knees. And it's so different. I can walk faster and I can walk with confidence going up the stairs because you taught me how to do it the right way. So now I could go up and down my bed faster and easily, and I'm not afraid of falling down or falling off the bed.
Pag-angat po ng paa, sabay. Sabay ng pagbaba. Okay? One time.
Sabay ng pababa.
Kasi
Okay.
pag binuhat niyo po, may masakit sa likod. Okay? So, try nating sabay. Okay?
Sabay. Okay.
Ready? 1, 2. Ulit. Ulit po.
Ulit.
Apa. So, yan. 1, 2. Yun. Almost. Sige. And then facing up. Good.
That's right, Josh. Thank you very much for helping me. Maybe I can invite my senior friends who have also exercises online. I bet you they won't regret it.
Well, there we go. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Hope everyone is doing well. Patapos na ang ating pandemic. I hope everyone is feeling the good energy going around. Ako po si Josh Manoharan. Ako ang isang physical therapist at founder ng Kakayanan Digital Rehab Incorporated. No? Kami po ay isang grupo ng physical therapists. At ang layunin namin bilang isang organisasyon ay maabot ang lahat ng mga Pilipino, no? Filipinos who are in any part of the Philippines, who are here, who have chosen to retire here, to build a community through healthcare. This is our fourth community talk. And sa una po, when we had our first community talk, we talked about COVID-19 and long COVID or long haul COVID. This was at the time when COVID was at its peak, no, sa pinaka no kasagsagan ng COVID-19. After that, sumunod po ang meron kaming naging discussion about pediatrics or sa mga batang may kapansanan. No? So we talked about disabilities in children like Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, etc. And last December we had our the one of the most interesting community talks wherein we talked about proper nutrition or how to keep your weight or how weight management even during the holiday season. So it's the first time we guested um, a nutritionist. So si Sir Kim, para sa mga nakapag-tune in, maybe you remember Sir Kim, ang ating nutritionist dietitian na guest. Today, we are launching our first community talk for 2022, and we decided to focus on our elderly, our senior citizens. Bakit? No, as Filipinos, we really value our families. We are very close to our family. This is a cultural trait that we have, and our senior citizens are a vital part of our family units and our communities. So, in saying that, welcome to our community talk this afternoon. Thank you for those who are tuning in live and those who will tune in later on at their own time. Our topic for today is called Can We Really Age Gracefully? So, for those who are tuning in live, feel free to answer that question. Do you think we can age gracefully? Is it something that is realistic or is it something just fun to think about? While you're typing in your answers, let me introduce my guest for today. Let us start with this marketing expert with 22 years in the corporate world. She was mostly in the telecom industry and turned into an entrepreneur in 2016. Now, she works with products that have purpose and social impact. And if you love coffee, you have to try Hinalaban Arabica coffee. I hope I said it right. Hinalaban. If you want to eat healthy, you have to try this yummy Hinalaban Adlay. So Adlay is a grain native to the Philippines, especially to the Bukidnon province. And she's one of the founders of Active Care Home Health and the chief marketing officer of this organization, who partnered with Kakayanan. Uh, and I would like to welcome her. You will meet her later on. Sige, maybe we can show her already. Miss Joanne Araneta. Joanne, welcome to the chat. Welcome, welcome. Maybe, yeah. So, yeah, I think you're okay. Sige. Our second guest today, ito, sige, sa mga hindi pa nagkape, magkape muna kayo kasi medyo mahaba yung introduction natin. Legit talaga. Legit ang ating guest. So, this um, special guest graduated from Our Lady of Fatima University College of Medicine in 1995. She did her internship at Jose Reyes Memorial Medical Center and passed the physician licensure exam in 1996. She had her residency training in family and community medicine from 1999 to 2001 at the University of the Philippines Philippine General Hospital. She did her fellowship at training in supportive hospice and palliative medicine in 2002 also at UPPGH. So we'll define palliative care later for those who are not sure about it. She is the first graduate of this fellowship training in palliative medicine in PGH. So talk about a pillar or a foundation of an industry. We have her gracing our presence this afternoon. In 2012 to 2014, she took her master's in public health. And after that, she had her postgraduate diploma in palliative care at Edith Cowan University in Perth, Australia, through a scholarship grant by the Help the Hospices UK. Right? She also had her diplomate in family and community medicine in 2004, became a fellow in the Philippine Society of Hospice and Palliative Medicine, or PSHPM, and became a founding board member. She also became the head of advocacy committee at the said institution as well, PSHPM, and is affiliated with hospitals such as UPPGH, Jose B. Lingad Memorial Regional Hospital, um, and Amang Rodriguez Memorial Medical Center, the Medical City, FEU NRMF, Cardinal Santos Medical Center. She's currently the medical director of Active Health, Home Health Solutions Incorporated. So she is legitimate. That's the summary of everything. We would like to welcome to the chat Dr. Agnes Dr. Claudio. Come on in. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Doc, and good afternoon, Joanne. So, yeah, this is gonna be an exciting conversation. And before we start, siguro, no, what do you think, po, Joanne and Dr. Agnes? What is your general perception of aging? I'll start first as to warm up. As a physical therapist, I've seen two kinds of people who age. People who are happy and contented about their life, about all the decisions they've made, they've planned everything. And then on another side, there are also some people who are yearning for more. You know, who are asking, could my life be better at this stage? And that's my general observation. What about for you two? Maybe Joanne, you want to start? I think you're on mute. Ay, sige. Dr. Agnes, can you, ayan na, si Joanne.
There you go.
Perfect.
Um, okay. So perception on aging. Okay, of course
Yeah,
there's chronological age, right? But maybe I wanna focus on importance of yung biological aging. So that's why keeping healthy is important. So, you know how they say it like dati 30 is the new 20. Ngayon hindi na ganoon ngayon. 40 is the new 20, 50 is the new 30. So, with the technology around and a lot of ways to keep healthy. That's the way to stay healthy and young. So naniniwala na talaga ako na age is just a number.
there we go. That's great. Great intro. Doc?
Yeah, I do believe also, no, that age is just a number. Given that we are in a stage right now, no, that um, we feel, no, every year there's something different in our age, no. We feel something in our body, no. So aging in itself is something that we have to be prepared of, no. We see it in our family, in our parents, no, and this is something that has to be planned, no, and it should be not for yourself and as for your family as well, no, because it involves and affects the all the members of the family. So yun.
That's great. Yeah, and so more on that, a deeper discussion on that in a few minutes. So before we start the main discussion, just want to greet everyone who's tuning in here. Ang aking mga relatives na supportive, hindi sila lahat. Okay, from Parañaque, from Quezon City, hello po sa inyong lahat. We also have viewers from Pasig, from Cebu. Grabe, mabuhay po kayo. Salamat po sa pag-tune in. At sa Calamba, Laguna. So, nagwa-warm up pa lang tayo. Okay, so let's start the discussion. We'll be playing this video that we pre-filmed in a little while. And then, sa mga manonood po, pwede po kayong magtanong. No? You can just type in your comments in the comment section. And then later at the end of the chat, we'll be having a 1 hour question and answer segment wherein we will answer all of these questions as we go along the chat. So enjoy the rest of the afternoon and see you at the Q&A part. Good afternoon to these two beautiful ladies who are gracing their presence, gracing us this afternoon with their presence. Dr. Agnes and Joan, welcome to the show.
Hi Josh, hi Doc
Good
Agnes.
afternoon. Hi. Good afternoon.
Thanks for making time for today. We actually have a lot of viewers, more than what we expected, and this is motivating for us to have a great discussion about a very important topic that we will all go through. This is a stage of life that, well, if we are fortunate enough, we will all grow older. So, as a start, maybe we can share some information. Our main topic today is called, the main question for this afternoon is, can we really age gracefully? So before we start our discussion, maybe for those who are tuning in, please type your answers to this question. Do you think it's possible to age gracefully, or is it something that, um, just is it just a concept? Is it just a nice concept? While you're typing that, sige, maybe we can start sharing information about aging. No? So, um, John, maybe do you have an idea about how many older people we have already in the Philippines? What's the aging statistics? Meron mo dyan?
Actually, globally, the old, let me say good afternoon first to everybody. Hello to all the viewers. And hi, Josh. Hi, Dr. Again. Okay, so globally, we see that the senior population is growing. Actually, in the other parts of the world, I mean, outside the Philippines, they're growing like much faster than how the Philippines is. But let's zero in on the Philippines. As of May 2020, it was recorded in the Philippine Statistics Authority. It was recorded that we have 12.3 million senior citizens. This is the 60 years old and above. So that's about 11% of the population in the country. So you know, I wanna share lang some mga specifics lang related to that. Life expectancy for males is 67 years old. Life expectancy for females is 75 years old. And of the 12 million senior citizens, 5% of that they live alone. So
Mm.
would you believe ngayon meron ng ganun, no? Senior citizens and they live by themselves.
Yeah, so that's very, I would say that's a point of discussion already, because we know that culturally Filipinos are very family oriented, right? And do you think that has changed already over time?
Maybe I can say that maybe culturally, I mean, we're very strong about family values, diba? That family should be together. Family is we believe that family is the basic unit of society and it should be strong, right? But what's changing would be the behaviors or the new lifestyles. It has evolved now over the years. Just to share, in the Philippines, the millennials and the Gen Zs make up 70% of our population. You know, these this young population, they're independent, they have a mind of their own, they want purpose, they're adventurous, they're global citizens, they're born into social media that knows no boundaries, diba? And so and I will relate to that, the real estate boom, where we see the rise of condo living. It has grown exponentially up to now, right? So so usually condos do not have extra rooms. So when these young people buy their own condos, their flats or their houses, diba? It's just enough for them. It's just enough for one person or a couple or or with a baby, diba? And so more and more, we see the millennials and the alphas, they have aging parents and grandparents. Whereas before, the children would care for their parents in their homes. The lifestyle now, they find it hard to execute as so. Kasi nga, there's no space in the home. Usually, wala pang house help yan. And so what do they do? So we see more and more people are looking for options for their aging family members, be it in a nursing home, in an assisted living community. So there are different options that they're looking for, or they assess parang where to bring their aging parents or grandparents.
That's a great another point of discussion that you brought, that maybe because of the evolving world, we are more exposed to different cultures. I know that, I think, based on from what I know, in terms of Asian or the more conservative societies tend to live with their elderly, or the elderly stays with the families, and the more progressive ones, they have these concepts of nursing homes, or other facilities. Um, Doc, do you think there's ever gonna be a place for nursing homes in the Philippine society? Or meron na ba? Or what's going on that side?
Yeah, there are some no existing nursing facilities, no, especially for the elderly. But only few are for the private, no, and karamihan mga NGOs, no. But with what Joanne said, no, there is a changing new normal, no, to be able to adapt to this pandemic and to the present generation, no? Because most of them are in social media, very busy. Most of them have one, not just one job, no, but two or three or part-time jobs, no, and their life is really fast, no, unlike in maybe in my generation and your generation, if we are on the same age, no. We're contented, no, with what we have, and uh it's not that our life, no, our it's not that fast paced, you know what I mean. So but this new generation, no, it's a different different generation.
And lives.
Nice.
Oh.
So
Mm,
generation, that's its reality, you know, and
mm,
definitely it's everything is gonna evolve, right? And do you think, based on the patients that you've seen in your care, how do these elderly cope with those changing, you know, generational changes? No, just for example, family values change, right? So each, for example, our lolas, they have a different set of values. Like, for example, hard work, or being very matipid, you know, with their very living a very simple life. And then, for example, if the second generation grow up with a little bit more comfort, then they'll be starting to splurge like 150 on coffee and 60K on a handbag. You know, what do you think? Do you see difficulties in terms of coping with these changing trends within the elderly?
yes. There is difficulty basically because the priorities goes to those material things rather than on paying for the healthcare, no. So that is one thing that we see, no, the problem now, because there are a lot of things that can be bought online. There are a lot of things that can tempt you, and you can spend money, no. So the healthcare, no, the health of the elderly suffer, no. So yun yung nangyayari.
Doc, since we're already on the topic of finances, I know culturally we're not super comfortable to discuss these things, right? But do you think elderly living, do you think financial independence, is that something that should be discussed, you know, when it comes to anticipating aging? Do you think we should start talking about it?
Yes. We have patients before, no, that he really prepared, no, as he aged, no, everything that he needs. He's able to talk with the family. He's able to discuss what is his wish, his preferences, what he wants and does not want, what who will be his decision maker, and what he wants the doctor to do in terms of managing himself, and how and where will he go, no,
Wow.
when he passed away as he aged. So everything has been planned, and in terms of finances, it was also discussed, no. He was prepared on that. So as he aged, no, the burden on the family, no, is less, no, because it was everything was discussed, no. In medical terms, we call that advanced care planning.
Mhm.
So, and it includes financial preparation, no. And if you are prepared, no, when that time comes, especially when you cannot hear properly, or you cannot recognize your family members, no, you don't know where you are, you're demented. So everything is in place, and even the finances, the carers, no, until the end, even on the day of dying, no, the healthcare team and the family are on one page, because we know what the patient wants, no, and we know that patient wants all the comfort, but no more suffering, no more heroic measures, and he wants to die either at home, in the presence of the family, or in the hospital. So everything is arranged, according to patient's wishes and preferences, but it should be communicated with the family. Without the family knowing it, it will be a difficult conversation, towards the end, Sometimes the wish of the patient, nababaliktad, because the family doesn't know, and maybe the family have issues and don't want to let go of the patient. So yon.
That's beautiful, Doc. And then coming from a first-hand experience about dealing with elderly care, that's such a nice story that you shared with us. And what are the first steps to take will be to start planning, of course, for yourself. How do you want the rest of your life to be? And then second, as you mentioned, is communicating it with the family so that everyone is at the same page. No? Correct? Yeah. So
Yeah.
what about you already actually I was just stopping myself to to butt in because that was such a good good conversation, the good topic already. You did mention some physical manifestations of aging. Do you mind walking us through? You did mention hearing problems. You did mention dementia. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah. Aging is, as you grow older, there are some physical changes, psychological changes, biological changes that happens, and even our moods, there will be changes, become irritable, and even the movement, sometimes there's limitation in the movement. So as we age, it's like becoming a baby again, you become, from being an independent person, you become dependent again. So that's why there's a caregiver, an old sitter, changing your diapers, not assessing. There will be changes in speech, because of problem in dentures, in hearing. So all of those things, in aging, it occurs, So there are a lot of changes that the family should also be educated on how to handle, and the support of the family will really have an impact, on the care of the patient. So yeah, a preparation and discussion should really be done ahead of time, before there are changes changes in the clarity how how people think and talk,
That's a reminder for everyone watching now, even myself. I'm gonna start planning for my senior years. Matagal-tagal pa, but it can never go wrong, with planning. Doc, there's a very important thing you mentioned about the family. So, how can a family prepare for having an elderly member of the family? Oh, or for example, yeah. So let me start with that. How do we prepare if someone is already going to that hitting that 60-year-old mark?
Yeah, in a casual talk, whenever you are with your loved ones, sit down with them and casually talk about life, explore what his wishes, ano pa yung hindi niya nagawa, sino pa yung taong gusto niyang makita, anong lugar ang gusto niya pang mabisita o mapuntahan, relatives, And even are there problems in the titles of the lands, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, the possessions, land, banks, no? What else? Of course, no, we were in the age now. There are a lot of problems that were not discussed. No, you have to um, uh, talk to your loved ones about yung mga division of properties, because most of some of our patients, no, example, they want to die peacefully without these tubes, no, stuck in their throat, without these ventilators, no, and they want to die at home. But sad to say, because of problems in properties, no, bank accounts that was not yet closed, no, the patient is rushed to the ER, and they did intubation, resuscitation, and a lawyer has to come to check if the patient is really still alive, no, so that the account can be turned over to the next kin. So there are a lot of problems that can be discussed, no, when you sit down and casually talk about it, no. Oo. So yun nga yung what we usually do in in advanced care planning is, yeah, you ask, no, what you want and doesn't want, no, what who are the people who will care for you and who will decide for you when you cannot talk, or you cannot think right, no. Aside from that, what I want to tell my family, no, that I haven't told before, and what the doctors or my carers, no, how they will care for me. So those five things, no, five wishes, we use that in advanced care planning, no, when we sit down with patient. Now, family members can do this also, no, in preparation for aging.
That's great. And in segue to that, let me ask Joan, is this something that active care can do for our families and elderly? Advanced care planning?
Yes, okay. Active Care is a home health care company. So what we do in Active Care is we care for the patients in their homes. So we sort of like transform the home or the bedroom of the patient into like a mini hospital where all their needs are there, and that's what Active Care does for them. So we are a one-stop shop where from we have the whole the whole team working together to help the patient have a comfortable time to for either for recovery or pagka lengthened sicknesses, the patient is comfortable. So it is a necessity to have that advanced care of plan. So it is really required. But what I think is operative, the operative word kanina of Doctora, which she mentioned a few times, it's important for the family to do that for the aging family member. Kasi di ba tayong Filipinos, normally we shy away from discussing, death and...
Ano ba yan? Ano ba yan? Pinag-uusapan na natin agad. Buhay pa naman ako.
Nasa tayo, minsan-minsan lang tayo magkakasama, ganyan pa tayo. Di ba? Parang gano'n, parang bawal siya, parang siyang taboo. But what we have seen as active care, na the thing is, if you are not ready, natataranta yung family, nasa-stress yung buong family. Hindi lang yung patient, pati the entire family nagkakaroon ng, anong tawag doon, Doktora? Yung nagbo-burn out sila, di ba? And so, mas nagiging complex pa. Complex na nga yung situation, mas nagiging complex pa lalo. So before active care sana comes into the picture, I like the advice of doktora na do advanced care planning in your own family. And sabi niya, do it daw casually. Yung wag naman yung
Correct.
parang, seryoso tayo dito. Ano ba? Paano ba?
Ay.
Diba? Casual lang. Yung
Usapan
parang,
natin yan.
paano ba yung casual? Anong mga example no? So,
Chika lang.
over lunch.
Yung chika.
Chika-chika lang.
Tatanungin mo lang, ma, what else do you want to do pa? Ano ba
Oo,
for the
ganon.
year, ma?
Correct.
Anong mga gusto mong gawin natin? Ganon,
Okay.
together or by
Chika-chika lang.
yourself. Parang ganon lang, chika lang. Tapos, huwag
That's
masyadong
nice.
serious. But I think it will also work na kailangan kakuntsaban mo yung siblings mo. Kasi minsan yung siblings mo pa yung magsasabi na, ate, ano ba yan?
May heads up palagi.
Kailangan may
Okay.
gano'n. Dapat magkakakampi rin kayo as a family. Ganon. So yeah, that's what I think that's a very good tip for all of us, no? Advanced care plan
nice.
in the family.
What you mentioned, Joan, about setting up the bedroom with all the, let's say, medical equipment, etc. Is that what you call palliative care?
Okay. I will pass that question on to Dr.
Sige. So, Doc, go, Doc.
Doctor, just a trivia to everybody, to all the viewers here. Doctora is one of the pillars of palliative in the Philippines, and so yeah,
That's an honor, Doc.
not the first. She's like a very strong pillar. So I'll pass it on to
There we go. The bedrock of
palliative care.
palliative care in the Philippines. Go, Doc. Take it away.
Yeah. Palliative care is basically caring for patients with serious or life-threatening illness. No, not just cancer. Ano ba yung mga life-threatening illness? No, advanced disease like dementia, advanced disease like kidney failure. No, yung may mga liver failure, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, heart failure, because these advanced illness have a lot of symptoms, no, that causes suffering, no, and affects the quality of life of patient and also the family, because the family will become agitated if they see the patient suffer. So basically, palliative care is taking care of the patient and the family with these medical conditions so that the patient can maintain quality of life. No, it doesn't mean that patient is dying. No, so chronic and the life-limiting condition. So it's holistic, no, because we take care of the emotional, psychological, and spiritual aspect, especially when patient's medical condition is declining. No, towards the end. So with that, we also prepare the patient and the family. That's why we do a lot of counseling. No, we do a lot of family meeting for the patient and the family to be able to cope with the changes. No, whatever changes it is. No, if it's a negative change, no, towards the end of life, or if patient improve, that's a positive change. No, hindi pa mag-go yung patient. So whatever the stage of the illness, we are there to give support, no, to the patient and the family. So that is basically palliative care. So also palliative care can be provided everywhere, no, in the hospital, outpatient, and even at home. So with this pandemic, no, we have a lot of patients, no, we provide palliative care at home because they're afraid, of course, to go to the hospital because of this pandemic. So, yun.
That's great, Doc. I love the word quality of life. For those who are not familiar of quality of life, diba? This is such a beautiful concept, and it means a lot, and it resonates a lot to us physical therapists because that's our purpose. Naman. So it's so great that you mentioned at different stages, and for physical therapy, that's also where we come in. For example, for patients who, for example, you were really, let's say, a strong business person, diba? Before at your peak, tapos biglang your kidney starts failing, and then at the end, diba, you need someone, you need a bedpan just to, diba, defecate or to urinate. That's gonna, diba, gonna affect your psychological well-being. So on the physical side, di ka makabangon sa bed, di ba? How is that going to affect you also? So dito naman papasok ang physical therapy, and I think that's what, since you were already able to introduce yourself, for the seniors and for the family members who are tuning in, that's where physical therapy naman comes in to help the people um, restore, if possible, restore the movement patterns that they've lost before, develop or maintain at least, di ba? What they can do.
Mm.
So next question is about caregiver fatigue, di ba? So malaki yung role eh. The caregivers, the families, the nurses, the helpers, if available, they play a vital role in this. What if they get tired? Or is it something that we can address or prevent?
Is that for me? Yeah.
Any?
Yeah. Uh,
Sige daw.
yeah, caregiver fatigue. Fatigue basically, there's physical exhaustion, emotional exhaustion, that impacts on the care, no, the attitude of the carer, no. So nagiging irritable, hindi na pumapasok na maaga, no, and yung care sa pasyente nag-iiba because of this fatigue, no. So basically it can be prevented by, again, planning, no, setting goals. What can they provide, ano lang yung kaya, and hanggang saan lang, and to be able to communicate this to the family, no, and the family to provide support on the carers, no. So it can also be prevented if there's a lot of rest, no, and yung carer should be able to have time for himself or herself, no, to be able to have rest, no, and energized again before going on duty, no. Or even family members can have this caregiver fatigue, no. The whole time they're the one taking care of the patient, but other family members are just visiting and just go, no, they come and go. So that is where we can provide, no, there's a word we call respite care, no, for caregivers who are fatigued. So we allow them to have a break for a few days, no, then come back, no, and be energized, no, and be able to gain composure again, no, and take care of the patient.
Doc, I love that respite care. So please remember this word. And I remember a quote that's very important to me personally. We cannot pour from an empty cup, right? So
Right.
if we don't take care of ourselves, if we don't set boundaries, if we don't know when to stop, and we become heroes, yun nga, the being a martyr. Kasi I think it's part of our culture din, diba? Tapos, di ba, parang very, very telenovela siya na, oh, ako na yung nagliligpit, ako pa lahat dito, kayo dito lang, I mean, ako yung nag-aalaga. So, those are parang things that I imagined while you were mentioning that. So, siguro sa mga caregivers, by carers is maybe the general term we can use. Carers, tapos you have your caregivers, nurses, and families. But so if you have elderly and you're looking after them, please look after yourself first. Because if you're physically tired, mentally tired, and we see this, syempre, mag-iiba na nga yung tono mo. Diba? So, baka magtaas ka na ng boses. So, those are things that we should also be aware of. No? Now, I have a question for John. Yeah, go.
So
Before
can I
I
just put in
Yeah.
comment on that? We also see that as an evolving behavior also. Because before, di ba, I mean, tayo mga Pilipino, yung minention mo nga kanina, di ba? O yung pinakabata ang mag-aalaga kay parent or kung sino yung kasama sa house, di ba? Tapos, sabi nga ni Doktor, yung family members, they just come and go. So, may pagod factor talaga kung sino man yung nag-aalaga, right? Pero forever, I mean, for the longest time, we know that that's how Filipinos think, na dapat yung isang kapatid ang mag-aalaga. But what we are seeing now is that more and more families now are open to bringing in companies like to bringing in home healthcare companies like Active Care, because they see that, kasi di ba, ano ba yung naiisip nila, either obligation yon ng isang kapatid or mahal pag kumuha sa labas, or ano, but we have been seeing, di ba, the rise of yung emotional, ano nila, yung exhaustion nga, minention ni Doktora. There's also, di ba, the mental state of the person taking care. Wala siyang break, wala siyang day off, wala siyang ano, di ba? Whereas, for mga companies such as Active Care, we're able to rotate the nurses properly, correctly, and so every time a nurse or a caregiver would face a patient, they are assured that the person in it is in his or her top state. So, because even, you're right, even for caregivers, I mean, may pagod rin naman talaga. But that's why behind the scenes, the way that we do our, yung planning, parang how to, there's a term for it, Doc, yung parang yung plan, ano yun, Doc?
Discharge planning.
Discharge planning, or yung rotation of the nurses and caregivers. It also includes when does the nurse case manager visit, kasi hindi rin naman pwede na you leave your nurses by themselves also. And then our doctors also visit, meron ding schedule. So the family can rely on Active Care to really take care of everything. Ganon. At hindi lang isang tao yung kausap nila. So this is an entire team working with them. So there.
That's amazing. That's really good. And I would also say the same for physical therapists. No, when we were introducing online physical therapy and to families who are caring for their elderly, one of their main apprehensions was like, oh, kami na naman ang kikilos. Kami din na pala ang magkikilos sa kanila, di ba? To go out of the, kami din ang mag-move ng joints and mag-aangat. So parang, what for? Why are we going to pay for this? So we do understand that financial side, di ba? So especially nga kung if they, for example, if the elderly people did not get that, or for example, were not able to plan as much as others, like in that versus that ideal circumstance na na-mention ni Doc kanina. And in relation to that, John, do you have statistics naman in terms of socioeconomic demographics? Kasi this is it's a real thing, right? It's a real factor. Like, for example, dun sa mga who are able to save, for example, or who have enough resources, or at least madali lang magplano. But what about for those who do not have as much resources, or did not get that heads up na, oy, ganito ang mangyayari sa pagtanda? How do we navigate old age for people like that?
Let me just say, one of the things that we saw in the pandemic was that the insurance industry, di ba, it was a growth industry, right? Because people are more and more aware na they have to prepare for the future, or to prepare for mga instances like this, or it's not an instance, it's a whole pandemic, right? And people lost their jobs. So kumbaga, hindi lang yung parang lower SEC, lower segment yung affected. Everybody's affected, diba? Diba, as they say nga, health is, there's that line. The pandemic made us all equal. Walang lamang, walang ano.
Equalizer. Equalizer,
diba? Equalizer, yes. And so we're happy that the insurance industry was a growth industry. Second is, one of the things that Active Care is working on is to be able for the Philippines to allow that in the healthcare system na maipasok ang home healthcare. Kasi in other countries, it's part of the health package of a citizen, di ba? Part of the benefits of a tax-paying citizen. So Whereas ngayon, it's not yet that way, but we're working on that, and we hope to see that become a reality soon, so that um, hindi kailangan na lahat ng tao dinadala sa hospital. And if they allow home health care, it will lessen the burden on the hospital system, and it will allow also for families to be strengthened with the togetherness also in the home. So that's
That's
where
great.
those are the points that I see in terms of SEC segmenting.
That's really important to understand. No? For example, I'll try to keep this idea short because I'm super passionate about this. Eh. Diba, brain drain, people going out of the Philippines. The reason why people go out of the Philippines is because they are more assured of a better life overseas, right? But what makes life good overseas? Eh? It's really competent, policy making, right? I'm just gonna stay as neutral as possible. But we need to have these measures in place to look after citizens. Correct, eh, diba? So healthcare has to be in place, diba? The whatever premiums we're paying for, we should be able to, diba, see the benefit of that. Hindi pwedeng cash out palagi. No, lucky if you have, great. But I think even if you have, resources for that, it will be nice to, to be looked after. So, pag-isipan nyo mabuti ang ating decisions in May. Little segue on that. Okay, so let's wrap this up. This has been a wonderful conversation. Just 2 points. I think nabanggit kanina yung technology and pandemic. No? So the pandemic definitely made everyone techie. I would say, or at least if you at least forced everyone to use Gcash or diba, use Zoom. Diba, there's a saying that old dogs cannot learn new tricks. What's your opinion on that, siguro? Let's start with Doc Agnes first and then Joan. And then I'll share my own.
Well, actually, for me, no, as long as there's somebody who would teach that old dog, pwede naman. Kasi even us, no, we actually, no, before the pandemic, we're not using Zoom, no? Yung mga Google Meet and ano pang platforms, even FB Live, diba?
Like what we're doing now.
And even yung FB ko, no, I'm not really always updating, but it seems no, there's a need for that, no, and we all need to learn. So here we are, no. Me
There's no
particularly,
wonder.
I have learned,
Yeah.
and even my 94-year-old mother, no, she's able to learn how to use the Messenger, the Viber, and di na siya nagpapaload kasi she can go through Viber or Messenger. O, di ba?
Yeah.
Natuto na. Oo.
Correct.
So, yeah, they can learn. Mm-mm.
So I'm seeing two things there in what you mentioned. The necessity, right? So definitely we were all forced. There's that element of being forced. Kasi either mag-Zoom call ka or you would never talk to anyone for 2 to 3 years. That's one. Second, which would be medyo sad yun. The next one will be making the learning environment less threatening, which I think this is pertinent din for us physical therapists. Kasi, for example, if you're learning a new skill again, like brushing your teeth, kung dati kaya mo galaw yung right, ngayon, hindi mo na nagagalaw, the environment to relearn that skill has to be supportive. Kasi pag pinwersa mo yan, parang, ba yan, dati, kasimple-simple yung pagsisipilyo, di mo matutunan. Diba? So, the person wouldn't really learn. So, same din with technology. So, myself included, sa mga may parents and grandparents na nagpapaturo sa Zoom call, sorry. Nasamit tuloy ako, may nakaalala sa akin. Patience is key. Joan, anything on that side?
Definitely. I was gonna say patience is key. So Yeah, you mentioned talaga, 'di ba? Impossible naman na gusto mo na wala kang kausap for 3 years. So definitely this was a sink or swim for the older ones, primarily, 'di ba? So they had to learn it. So yes, kailangan patient tayo. But you know, when people what I gathered na from one of the meetings I had or webinars I had recently, the new normal, what we call the new normal, is now the super normal. So people were forced to be on technology to do telemedicine. Who would think that we can do telemedicine, 'di ba? We didn't do that, 'di ba, Doktora? We were not doing that before the pandemic, right? And now we do. And I know Kakayanan team also does that. I'm a firsthand I experienced that firsthand with Kakayanan team. You know, the simple technologies like chat groups. Now even the older ones, they're part of many chat groups, diba? Family chat group, doctor chat group, barkada chat group,
Mahjong.
mahjong chat group. So, but what's good about it is because I think what's beautiful about these technologies now, they also make it pretty simple, yung mga messaging chat apps, and it really helps. And it's a good support system for the older people as well. Plus, of course, we cannot deny the fact that there's Google and YouTube that teach us how to do it on a step-by-step format. So yeah, in many other ways, I'm sure. But Josh, I give the floor to you because you're one of those na ang galing ng ginawa ng Kakayanan on how positioning themselves in technology.
Thanks so much. And it was particularly challenging for us as physical therapists because we're really associated with touch. Can you imagine, like, people associate physical therapy sa assistance, di ba? May manual therapy. We cannot deny it's really part of our job. So for us, we were forced to do something different if we want to stay relevant and reach patients. So we are thankful then to our patients who gave us an opportunity to stay relevant in their lives. We're gonna keep growing, and this is one way of engaging. Staying relevant, sharing information. In saying that, I would like to thank both of you for your time, for all that. This has been a wonderful, beautiful discussion. I have learned a lot also, and just to wrap things up, I would want to say technology it's beautiful. Ever since the beginning of time, every evolutionary thing that that happened, even fire, diba? Whoever thought of fire questioned, if there's something that we can do better, diba? Whoever thought of cooking, whoever thought of cement, whoever thought of computers, it started with an idea of questioning, is there a better way of doing things? So I'd like to encourage everyone to keep questioning, keep questioning the world, make it a better place also for you and for your future. Let's start planning for our aging. And in that way, we can age gracefully. And if you need help, Active Care is here, Kakayanan is here, and maybe we can promote, how do we reach Active Care if ever we find ourselves in need of your services. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so first and foremost, thank you for this afternoon, Josh and Doctora. Even I learned a lot from our discussions. I hope all the viewers also picked up a thing or two, and that planning is very important. And so on Facebook, you can find Active Care Home Health Solutions Inc. Active Care is ACTIV, no E, and then care. So that's one word. So please visit us on Facebook so that you'll get to know more about what Active Care does. We have a website, is activecare.ph. And then in those pages, you'll also find our mobile numbers. So, and how to reach us, you can message us as well. And so yeah, we hope to get to see all of you who have needs for home health care. Do drop us a note, and we're glad to be of service to you.
That's great. And also for us, so we'll be flashing, we were flashing that also at the bottom of the screen so that while you were talking, people can look at it. So active care. Same goes for Kakayanan, no? For those who want to still improve their quality of life, we add life to your years, not years to your life. You know, as physical therapists, we want the rest of your life to be as enjoyable as possible. So thank you so much. This has been great. We're gonna take a quick break, and then we have a quick or baka mahabang live question and answer coming up. So stay with us. But thank you for those who tuned in, and thank you most especially for Dr. Agnes and Joanne for this afternoon.
Thank you.
Doon po tayo hakbang sa close to the edge. So Ate Joanne, mauna kayo. Tapos kamay mo Ate Joanne, nakaganito kayo. Nakakamay. Yeah. Alright, good. Would you want to share with us your experience doing online physical therapy in the last 10 months?
I started thinking about taking therapy with you again because
All right. Good afternoon po. Thank you for those who are still with us, and we hope you enjoyed that discussion. Today, right now, we're going to start our live question and answer. We've been looking at your questions while the chat was going on, and before I have our guests again, sa mga nabitin po for with Dr. Agnes and Miss Joanne, they'll be with us soon. Before I welcome them back, I'd like to introduce our third guest for today. She is the senior psychologist of Mind You. She is responsible for designing and creating mental health programs, internal processes, and policies for the company and its clients. She is also responsible for managing the overall operations, strategies, and processes to carry out the company's mission statement on top of managing and advising Mind You's pool of licensed psychologists. A clinical psychologist practice includes being the chief psychologist in Pasig City General Hospital, where she handles the most sensitive cases related to trauma, abuse, anxiety, and depression under the Women and Children Protection Unit, or WCPU. She is also the board of director of Positibong Pasigueño, where she directs mental health issues with people living with HIV. She is also the co-author of the first ever Filipino Youth Depression Scale, which serves as an initial self-assessment tool that measures individual depression tendencies. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the conversation Miss Rhea Celine Villa, our psychologist in the house. And welcome Rhea, coming on
Josh
board.
and ayan. Hello Josh and good
Hello.
afternoon. Oo, sa mga viewers ng Kakayanan. This is a great Saturday, no, na we will have honest conversations on things that you'd like to talk about. Ayan.
That's great. Do you have any inputs from or feedback from the conversation or the talk that we just had?
Mhm. I think it's about time to have more conversations like these, no, because jumping from one life stage to another as we prepare for our senior years, there's a lot of mixed emotions, no, and this platform could address that, no, yung mga fears natin, hesitations, no. So overall, the flow with Sinadoc has been great, no, and you also, Josh, on really contextualizing a lot of realities that eventually we will all have to face when it comes to aging.
That's great. That's a great pretext to our Q&A. Can we bring in now our guests, Miss Joan Ayaneta and Dr. Agnes Bausa Claudio? Welcome back. All right. Sige po. Okay.
Hello.
Do we any inputs from or any feedback from our discussion? That was yeah, Joan, maybe anything you want to start with?
Um, okay, well, what we picked up, I think, um, maybe I'll just repeat it that planning is very important. Planning for the future, planning for our advanced years, and that's not only about it. I think part of planning, it comes with planning that you also work it out with the family. So that's vital.
That's great. Dr. Agnes, anything you want to start with before we answer questions from our viewers?
Yeah, this is something kasi that's not very common in the Filipino culture, no, to talk about advanced care, no. Usually kasi it's taboo, no. Ang kadalasan Filipino culture hindi pinag-uusapan, no. Yung time na very critical na ang condition which is common in elderly and eventually, no, if they go, no. But it should be started early, no, not during the time na magulo na ang isip, confused na lahat, and financially hirap, no? Kasi we don't know naman when will it come. So there are a lot of anxieties, a lot of painful discussions that occurs, no, if it's not discussed earlier on. So yeah, so kagaya ng sinabi ni Doc Rhea, no, na it should be discussed para yung anxieties and worries ng patients and ng family as we grow old, no, na-address at napapag-usapan.
Thank you, Doc. Let's start with a really, it's a great question actually. So I'll read it for everyone. This is from Yoli Novicio Narciso. I am a 70-year-old. I took care of my kuya who had severe dementia. He was single and childless. I attended to all his needs, feeding, administering meds, grooming. Wala na si kuya at nalulungkot din ako kasi kulang pa rin ang aking pag-aalaga. I'm grateful sa PGH doctors kasi they give me orientation on how to care for patients with dementia. So I think the question here is for those who are finding themselves in the same situation or look who, for example, they also have their own family and then they have a brother or a sister or a tito or a tita who doesn't have their own family. How do we take care of them? Maybe we can start with Rhea first. Do you have an idea?
Okay, so how to take care of those family members with, let's say, aging or dementia, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, mhm. Actually, we are going to accept a lot of responsibility as the caregiver, 'di ba? So pag caregiver ka, first of all muna, try to also take care of yourself kasi we cannot give what we don't have, no? So as a caregiver, you have to parang have a check and balance also na you would also, since bigay ka ng bigay, there also has to be a purposive effort to take in somewhere, no, para may ecosystem pa rin ng relationship. But really to take care of someone that we dearly love, no, um, it's very important to extend a lot of patience, no? Tapos titingnan nyo rin yung a lot of validation kasi as we age, there's a lot of psychological and emotional struggles, no? So maybe just apply reflective listening. Matataas yung emotions when they're scared, when they feel lonely, no? So by being there and ensuring na parang pabababain mo yung emotion so they could feel comfort, then it would be very beneficial to apply reflective listening skills, no. Kasi at this point in time, maraming uncertainties, no, and just trying to help the person live on a day by day basis, yung small wins of going through the 24 hours, no? So, importante na you have a schedule with this person, no? So, para may control siya. I'm not promised of tomorrow. I am feeling weak, but what could I do at 8 o'clock? No? What could I do at 9, at 10? And by getting those by planning, it helps this person get those small wins that they needed for the day. So a lot of emotional assurance, no, physical touch would be helpful as well. Um, but at the same time, you have to also take care of yourself so that you have more to give as time goes by.
All right. Thank you for that. What I got was reflective listening. Ito po ba yung we just let them speak?
Mm-hmm.
Or what is it exactly?
Oo. Reflective listening is, yes, empathizing, because sometimes we listen to react, we listen to give advice right away. It's their narrative, no? It's their story, it's their version of their story. So by just letting them express without judgments, no? Or sometimes kasi nagsasabi na tayo agad ng dapat kasi ito gawin mo, no? But reflective listening is just absorbing, empathizing the situation of the one saying the story, no? And when that happens, nagiging safe place, no, safe space yung relationship ninyo, and that gives them assurance and comfort.
Great. Okay. Thanks for that. Any inputs, John, Dr. Agnes?
Yeah, that's very important, no, yung planning. I'm also with PGH, no, and what we do when patients are before their discharge, we assess their knowledge, their skills, and their attitudes, no, and we teach them before they are discharged so that they're empowered, no, at home and they know what to do. And we also have to involve other family members, you know, so as that the tasking, you know, is divided into the different members of the family and not just for one member of the family as to prevent caregiver fatigue. Now, it's also important to monitor, no, those patients who went home. And at this present time, we do telemedicine or teleconsult for follow-up, no? So, yeah, this planning, no, is really important, no? Um, Empower them, teach them the skill. And if there are any problems at home, there is a number that they can call, no, to ask help and support.
Got it. Okay. Before I go to John, Doc, can you have a quick idea of what is dementia? Ano po ba yung dementia? Ano po ba yung Alzheimer's? What is the difference? For those who are not sure.
Well, dementia is part of the Alzheimer's disease, no? There's cognitive deterioration of the mind, no, of a patient, no, and because of aging, no, it has something to do with the functioning of the brain. So, when we face patients with dementia, no, para silang baby, no, hindi nila nakikilala yung mga relatives nila, and new people or new tasks, no, that they are not used to be, no, or to do, nagkakaroon tayo ng difficulty or ng problem, no. That's why usually pinoprogram, no, yung mga activities, and the same set of people ang nilalagay kasi pag hindi kilala, they become very irritable, they may not be cooperative, no, and part of being demented, no, sabi nga natin is hindi nakakakilala. Sometimes they go out of the house, no, na tapos hindi nakakabalik kasi nga um, hindi na nila alam kung saan nakatira. So there are ways on how to take care of patients with dementia, no? And if we talk about this, there is it's going to be long, no? But yeah, kasi yung mga patients with dementia minsan nakukuha sa mga police station kasi nawawala, yung mga ganon. So may mga ways, no, yung naglalagay ng tag or sa bulsa, mga contact, who to contact. No? So yeah, so having dementia can be difficult, no, not just for the patient but also for the family members.
Okay. Thank you po. So, Alzheimer's yung bigger umbrella and then dementia is part of it. Tama po ba? Okay. Joanne, anything on that?
But maybe I would like to touch on if you're single and you don't have a family, parang I don't know, what do you do? Where do you bring yourself? Ganon. I mean, there are several options. I would think first is you can stay at home, I mean, in your home, and hire the services of people who'll be able to take care of you in the home, right? Including household staff. If that's not possible, I think more and more we are seeing hospice centers sprouting, and that would be um, uh, a good option.
Alternative.
There are also mga senior recreation centers. There are those na they're very active in promoting themselves. So if you Google it, you'll find that there are mga assisted living communities. So these are mga communities naman that they allow you to, yung parang within the community, within the area, everything you need is already there. So part no, and it's also very important for them to join mga people who do things as a group, so that they are with other people, even if they're not family members, they can enjoy their lives doing the things that they like, um, inside a community or inside a group.
That's great. I love how you started that different options, especially yun nga, with people who do not have children, right? So it's very ano din eh. It's there data in terms of that? I'm just out of curiosity. Um, may mga in terms of percentages ba or one out of how many people yung who grow old in the Philippines who do not have a family of their
Well,
own?
the
So you know.
closest statistics that we have is how many would be that of 12 million seniors in the country, in the Philippines, 5% of those, they live by themselves. So whether so we don't know if they have family or no family, but that's the case, and it's growing, so slowly growing.
Okay. Yeah, I think yun nga, people are, as you mentioned at the first part of the chat, the values are changing. You know, people are marrying late and all that. Um, I just wanna make a quick shout out kasi you remember you did mention the recreation center, no? So I want to say hi to Sunshine Place seniors who are here. Yan, ano yan. Thank you po for joining this conversation. Sunshine Place is a big part of my life also. Kaya malapit din ako sa mga seniors eh. So,
Yeah,
salamat
hello
po
to
sa mga nanonood.
hello also to our friends in Sunshine Place. Us also
Team
in
Jupiter.
Active Care, we also work with them. I mean, once in a
Oh,
while,
amazing.
we have tie-ups with them.
Great. Collaboration is key. Okay. Meron tayong, since we're already at the topic of nursing homes and facilities, yeah, what is the comment from Yoli also is there's no government program for this. Is this true or are there existing programs um, on this? That's the first question. And maybe, ano yung, is it acceptable na in the Philippine society to think about nursing homes? Doc Agnes, you want to start?
Yeah, I think there are some naman, no, existing nursing home facilities, no. In terms of acceptance, it's slowly becoming accepted, no. As we have mentioned in the discussion, there are a lot of people now, no, that are working and they really have difficulty taking care of the elderly, the senior citizens. But of course, it all depends on the values of the patient and the family. This should be discussed if being in a senior house is acceptable to the elderly himself, or herself, and also for the family members. So yeah, this pandemic may have brought some changes on how we deal with aging, and yung relatives being in abroad, could have an influence in our family, family members, that might change, how we deal with aging.
Okay, great. Thanks, Doc. Joan, I'll pass it on to you. Are there advantages and disadvantages of caring for your elderly at home versus, let's say, considering an aged care facility or a nursing home?
Okay, that's a tough question, ha? Because
Yeah.
nowadays naman, we have iba na rin the way we care for patients, whether in the home or in a facility. To be fair, even the facilities naman now, they really, really try to replicate the
Mm.
the how it is at home. They try to replicate it in their facility. One of the things that I see na advantage also naman when you are with other people is that there's social interaction. You're not just on your phone or watching movies on let's say on Netflix, di ba? But when you belong to the mga to groups or in a facility, let's say, um, you can play cards with them, you can play mahjong with them, you can exercise with them, I mean, maraming social interactions that can be. When you're at home naman, the advantage naman is that you're home. Iba yung comfort level mo, everything everything would be as you want it to be, how the kind of design that you want, the kind of colors you like, um, your interior. So I think parehas naman na maraming both with advantages. So it really
Mhm.
depends na lang on the condition of the patient or the mindset of the patient or
Got
of
it.
the elderly.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. And mindset ng elderly, maybe also the family values. I think it was, diba, discussed then a while ago. I will ask this Rhea later. I'll get back to you on this, Rhea. But kasi we have limited time left with John and Dr. Agnes, I just want to be
No
conscious of
problem.
that. Si Rhea will bombard you with questions in a bit. So there is an interesting question here in relation to this one. So I think, yun nga, culturally, we're not comfortable talking about finances and all that. But I think, as you said, foreign influence already opening doors for us. We need to start talking about this. So what do you think, based on interacting with people, ano ba ang ano, how much money should we have to be comfortable in elderly life? Maybe John, I can direct this to you, and then Doc Agnes
Okay.
can answer after.
Okay. My husband, Vince, right? And myself.
Yeah.
One of the things, because he's a finance person, that's one of the mga services that or things that we do for people we know or people who ask for Vince's services. How to compute for when you retire, or to compute
Mm,
your uh, so that parang up to what age you can start retiring. So you have to, I would say, I mean, I cannot say a specific amount, but you have to think of, how do I want my life to be when I get to this certain age? Kasi it's not necessary that you want to retire at 60, di ba? Because a lot of people, we know naman that they don't really want to retire. They just want to parang work less, maybe, or less stressed with work. So whatever it is that you have in mind, what you want to be, then that's how you compute it. Na this is for for 1 month or every month, this is what I need to be able to keep a lifestyle of such. And then you compute it already. If I retire at this age and I will rely on my savings, so that times the number of years that you expect yourself na ano, 'di ba, that you're here on earth. So at this point pa lang, you can already compute for that. So there, you
So it's
can
very
do it on
relative, no?
Excel. Yes.
Project your expenses, compute it with the number of years or months you project yourself. Siguro ganun, no? That's what I got from you. Walang specific. It's depende sa lifestyle. Correct?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
Dr. Agnes, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, getting old, di ba? May mga certain medical conditions and diseases, no, that the elderly develop, no, as they age, no. It is important for the patient, no, the senior citizen, and the family to have a sit down and discuss with the healthcare providers, no, because with that, you can discuss about the medical condition, you can discuss about treatments, you can discuss about prognosis, no, and outcome of treatment, and you can sit down again with the family and the doctor, no, about the expenses. So with that, you can also plan ahead, no. So yeah, so basically, all decisions are based on patients' values, no, wishes, and goals, no. Whatever the patient, the family, and the healthcare provider uh, discuss, no, and set goals.
Great. So planning. Kung meron tayong aalalahanin from Dr. Bausa, planning. So I think that sums up the whole conversation. We can plan wherever we are right now. So I know Doc Agnes and Joanne, you have to go in a bit. So do you have any final words to wrap it up? And then after this, Rhea and I can continue the conversation.
Yeah, basically, this topic, no, and discussion has opened up maybe for a lot of people out there to discuss, no, their healthcare plan or do advanced care planning as early as possible. This is something new in our culture, and it would really help, no, the patients, our seniors, and the whole family, no, when everything is discussed and everyone is prepared. No? So, in line. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc, for your time. Joanne?
Okay. In case you would need active care, you can check us out, active care home health solutions in FB, as well as our website is activecare.com.ph. Let me just say the number just in case anybody needs it. Our hotline numbers would be 7759-8307 and 0917-569-1755. So there. Thank you for having us. Thank you for having Active Care Home Health Solutions Inc. Thank you, Kakayanan. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Dr. Rhea. And nice being here with you, Doc Agnes.
Thank you so
Thank
much, Dr.
you.
Agnes Causa Claudio and Joanne Corpus Araneta. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day, and then we will carry on the Q&A with Miss Rhea. Okay, sige.
Take it
So
away,
let's
Doc
carry on.
Rhea.
Bye. Thanks.
Enjoy po. Thank you so much.
Bye,
Oh,
Doc.
yan. So one-on-one na kami with Rhea. Sige. So let's just start. Let's talk about stigma. So
Mm,
stigma is a very, very big word in psych, diba? May
mm,
stigma ba? So for example, there was this question, I think from Kate. Hey Kate. Yan. So let's flash it.
mm,
What is the stigma for, let's say, children or family members who consider putting or bringing their elderly to nursing homes in the
mhm.
Philippine society?
Yeah, actually itong stigma na to is very generational, no? And it's not easily it cannot easily be eradicated. It needs constant effort, no, to educate. But 'di ba, we have this Filipino culture and practices, no? It dictates that when our parents get old, it's our duty as their children to look after them. No, hence there's this long-held notion that Filipinos will not be open to the idea of leaving their parents in nursing home. So yun yung pinaka-stigma na we are not returning um, on how we were raised, no, so we have to be there every step of their lives, no. It's just parang utang na loob as well, a Filipino value, no. However, it depends on the circumstances. Sometimes when you're working, you cannot really give the best care to your parent, no. So maybe we could also consider a paradigm shift wherein yung thought pattern that you're not abandoning your parents if you decide to place them in a nursing home. Actually, if you are not capable of taking care, it's a responsible decision to entrust them in a facility that is capable of looking after their needs, no? Especially yung medical needs. But of course, you need to occasionally visit, no, and spend time. But yon, it's really not acceptable because yun nga, pinalaki tayo ng magulang natin. So, in return, we also have to be there 24/7. Yan. So, yun yung
Nababago ba
stigma.
siya? This paradigm shift, is it possible? Parang, posible bang mabago yung notion na ito?
Mhm. Posible naman if we also tell people the benefits of being in a nursing home. Like safer kasi may doctors, no? May 24/7 nurses, no? As long as we secure the loved one na parang when it comes to things that we cannot provide, no, we could only provide, for example, time and maybe taking care of them talaga, like taking a bath, ganyan. Pero on a bigger paradigm, no, perspective, mas kunyari ako, mas magiging comfortable ako to entrust sa home facility na may doctor. Kasi paano pag may
Mm.
emergency, hindi ko kaya. So as long as we assure them and also give them the added benefits that we could not provide as the loved one, then maybe the paradigm shift would start there. So it's important to educate, no, for those
Mhm.
options.
Great. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's great. And segueing into some elderly who feel that they are a burden to their family. How do you handle that? So if you feel like you're a burden,
Mhm.
how do you navigate through that emotion?
Oo. Oo nga, kung parang pabigat ka sa anak or ano, no? Oo.
Mhm.
So this is a normal and valid mindset, no? However, it might just be perceived, baka akala mo lang,
Mhm.
no? So it's very important na tingnan yung ating thought patterns, 'di ba? Like a person who is already irrational, no, is two steps ahead already na ma-magnify or na-exaggerate yung certain situation. So as the elderly, no, kailangan po isipin po natin sa isang situation ba, ibig bang sabihin nun I could use it for the general concept o isolated case lang po, no? Kasi pag hindi po tayo careful sa ating thoughts, no, yung pumapasok po sa ating minds, then maapektuhan ng thoughts ninyo yung nararamdaman nyo. And then eventually yung behavior. So kunyari may isang instance na parang feeling mo pabigat ka financially, kunyari lang. So pag yun po lagi yung nilalagay nyo sa brain nyo, yun yung pagka-interpret nyo sa isang situation lang, one or two, then ano po mafe-feel nyo? Madidictate po yung emotions nyo. You'll feel parang nahihiya ka na or you're not nasistress po kayo kasi feeling nyo pabigat. And then ang behavior nyo would be you will try to isolate, no? So doon tayo nagkakaroon ng mas further emotional concerns kasi baka magkaroon po kayo ng depression or magkaroon po kayo ng anxiety over one or two scenarios. So pag ganun po, it's important to communicate dun sa inyong loved one, no? May tendencies na siguro compassion fatigue sila, no? But just give them time, no? And then kayo po, if you could also increase yung positive coping skills, no? Para malabanan nyo po whatever uncontrollable situation that might happen. So kahit sa, whether nasa bahay po kayo, nasa nursing home, kung positive coping skills po yung ina-adapt nyo, and then that will be beneficial to see the world on a positive perspective. Ngayon, ano po yung example ng positive coping skills? Kamusta po yung sa mga Filipinos, no? Ang spiritual coping po effective, 'di ba? We always pray, nagmamas po kayo, 'di ba? Nagde-devotion, nagka-quiet time, 'yon. If it's something effective, no, na you have this higher being that is in control, no? Tapos nako-comfort po kayo, maintain nyo po 'yon, no? So anything that would bring positivity, no? Try to maintain the behavior. So positive spiritual coping is one sa mga Filipinos. Sa mga ano ko rin po, patients and clients, importante din po yung humor, no? Tayo po mga Filipino, if we could, 'di ba, kahit na may mga bagyo na diyan, makikita niyo sa videos, nagba-basketball yung mga bata, 'di ba? May bahana, nagiinuman, ganyan, or kumakain, 'di ba? So if we could find humor on certain things, no, then that would add up, no, sa ating perspective, yung babalansehin lang po ng something light, no. And then kung if you could also increase positive emotions, no? Kasi po, pagka negative po yung thought patterns nyo tsaka emotions, gagaling po talaga kayo dyan, no? Magiging negative po talaga. Magiging valedictorian kayo once you always practice negative emotions. Now, I'm not saying na you have to suppress it or pigilan nyo, pero valid naman kasi, katulad ng fear na ano kaya yung result ng check-up ko, baka pumangit yung aking lab results, no? So that's a negative thought na ahead, no, before the actual results, pero valid siya. So daanan nyo lang po, pero at the end of the fear, get one positive emotion. Like, what could I be thankful for? Okay, so takot po kayo dun sa results ng test, no? Pero what could I be thankful for? I could be thankful na parang may gana ako kumain, no? Or saan ba ako pwede maging grateful? Ay, sasamahan ako ng anak ko sa check-up, no? So, kapag meron po tayong negative emotions, balansehin lang po natin at the end with a positive thought, no? Para lang po it's easier to parang tell our brains na it's not all negative. Yan. So, I think I went beyond the question, pero
It's really
pero
good.
yun.
Really, really good. Want to batiin ko lang ang aking lola, Mami Claire. Thank you for
Hello.
tuning. Nanonood sila ngayon. I resonate a lot with what you said, yung spiritual na parang coping. Kasi nga, as a culture, we're very religious, no? Whether if it's Christian or if it's Muslim or whichever we identify with. Nakakatulong talaga po yun, no? Kasi that takes away your mind out of the current situation. Parang it's nice to have some bigger power to believe.
Mm-hmm. And that's why
Okay.
Filipinos are resilient, no? Kasi innate sa atin yung spiritual coping.
Okay. Next question. Kilala ko rin to. Kilala ko to, nagtanong na to. Okay. So, caregiver fatigue. I'm a 63-year-old taking care of my 88-year-old mom. Who has difficulty hearing. And then when I answer in a loud voice, it will be perceived na galit, di ba? So, parang how do you make that work? What's the solutions?
Okay, dahil aging na yung parent na at 80 at 88, so of course kung 63 din kayo, hindi na tayo parang 20s, 'di ba? So meron tayong mga parang hindi tayo 100%. So on things that the other person lacks, you extend understanding and try to compensate. No, kunyari, mami, hindi hindi ako galit, kaso baka hindi mo marinig. So just explain, no? In that way, yung communication lines natin is as much as possible aligned. Ngayon, it's easier said than done, but it's kailangan kasi with any relationship, there's clarity, no? Pag hindi clear yung situation, yung na-perceive niya na galit ka, and then we leave it at that, magpa-pile up po yung impression hanggang meron na siyang cognitive bias na ay baka ganito talaga yung anak ko. Kahit hindi naman, no? Kasi it wasn't cleared, it wasn't processed, no? Na hindi naman kayo galit. So it's really a constant effort to communicate two-way.
Mm.
Ano ba yung nararamdaman mo when you were saying it? Ano ba yung pagka-perceive niya? And then correct it, no? Para hindi po siya mag-pile up kasi may threshold lang tayo until such a time na magbo-burst tayo. And all of these things are preventative, no? Whether it's communication, whether it's building relationships, no? So, minsan tayong Pinoy, pinapabayaan lang natin, ay, okay lang yan, di ba? Hanggang parang we shove it under the rug, pero ang lala na pala ng perception. So, it's really constant communication. So, konting ano lang po, tiyaga pa at saka explanation sa 88-year-old mother na hindi po kayo galit, pero baka lang hindi niya marinig. Yan. Tapos medyo biru-biruin niyo po ng konti. Yan.
How do we recognize fatigue? Kasi na-mention din natin yung resilience ng mga Filipino, no? Sanay tayo sa hardship, o baka kailangan, o God will take care of us, gano'n naman. So we just have to endure it. Pero when do we say, okay, I need a break, I need space?
Okay, magandang question yan. Pag nababurnout ang isang tao, no, whether sa work or dahil caregiver tayo or because we play roles sa society, usually we feel exhausted. So may mind-body connection yan. So kung nababurnout ka na mentally, nagmamanifest po yan sa physical symptoms like lack of energy or parang you're always tired. Yan. If you have a concept na you're parang may kulang, parang there's depressive symptoms na parang saan ba nanggagaling tong sadness ko or parang na-accumulate, hindi mo ma-distinguish kung bakit. You feel anxious, tapos you lose interest in the things you like to do, tapos nane-neglect mo na yung needs mo tsaka yung health mo. Okay? So those are the signs that you are approaching burnout. And once that happens, tas kung caregiver kayo, dun na yung next nag-occur yung burnout when na-overwhelm na yung caregiver. So doon nagkakaroon ng compassion fatigue, no? So magkasunod, no? So burnout muna hanggang yung compassion fatigue, which is caused by extreme stress, no? Kaka-empathize mo, okay, dun sa tao na you care for, hanggang magiging numb ka na lang, no? So yun yung medyo parang end goal after burnout. So pag compassion fatigue naman, nade-develop yung anger mo, nagkakaroon ka ng hopelessness na parang will I ever get out of this situation, no? Pero ang hirap-hirap naman. And then ayan na yung insomnia, you may lack sleep o kaya tulog ka ng tulog, hyposomnia, just to forget, no? There's just a lot of negativity. So if you're seeing the world in a negative in general concept already, probably you're in a crisis, no? And a crisis is something, is a situation wherein either papunta kang burnout or parang hirap ka na dun sa current situation mo. Yun.
Crisis. It's very important. Kapag na-acknowledge natin that we're in a crisis state, what are the steps that we could take para ma-solve ito?
Correct. Pag nasa crisis ka kasi, it's generally a challenge or a potential problem, no? So, i-check ngayon ng brain mo, kaya ko kaya i-solve to at this time, right now? Ngayon, if your capacity to address it or to cope, parang you cannot manage it at this time, no? Pupunta siya into into a dilemma, no? So how will you handle it? Acknowledge mo muna na meron nga talagang crisis. So may stage yan, minsan in denial ka na, hindi, kaya ko pa alagaan yung mami ko. Kahit dalawa na yung work ko, I have kids, no? Kaya ko pa yan. No? Pero in a crisis ka na technically kasi you cannot manage all facets of your life already. No? If you've come to a point na there's acceptance, okay, that's good, no? Kasi that's the time that you could look for solutions. So, anything, ang problem po, pag walang solution, hindi problem. Okay? It's a parang, ano already, like, kunyari, HIV, having HIV, wag mo na problemahin kasi hindi na mawawala yung HIV eh. Okay? It's really there, no? So, hindi siya dapat gawing problem. So, in your situation, kung ano man yung crisis nyo, check mo muna, may solution ba, may wala. Pag may solution, then that's good, no? Okay, solvable yung crisis, yung problem. And from then on, usually para siyang may stages siya, parang grief yan. In denial ka, may depression, may anger. Pero heightened emotions ka pag may crisis, no? Pero ang maganda dyan, i-check ko lagi as a psychologist, kamusta yung emotional support mo? Kamusta yung coping skills mo? Kasi dapat bumaba yung heightened emotions mo for you to be able to think rationally. Now, pag bumaba na siya, hindi na nagmi-mix-mix yung emotions mo. And sometimes when you're in a crisis, conflicting yung emotions mo. Pwedeng you're angry, pero hopeful pa din. 'Di ba? Pwedeng sad, pero parang grateful ka rin. No? So parang confusing siya. So it's
Halo.
best halo. So, ang hirap i-solve kasi parang ang dami-dami ko naman nararamdaman. And then I don't see the end of the line, no? Pag ganun, talk to someone or try to pacify muna. Wag po kayo magde-decide right away pag may crisis, ha? Kasi do not decide when you're too happy. Do not decide when you're too sad. Okay? Just try to relax, no? And then, pag bumaba na po yung heightened emotions, then sa brain po kasi natin, pag heightened emotions, there's a part sa atin, amygdala, no? Yun yung gumagada. It's all emotions. Pero yung prefrontal cortex, yung rational side ng brain nyo, hindi. So, kailangan pababain yung emotions, bababa yung function ni amygdala, aakyat si prefrontal cortex. And that's the rational part of the brain, no? So, kung mababa na yung emotions, mas ma-absorb nyo na yung mga possibilities to solve the crisis. And this is not overnight, no? Iba-iba tayo ng crisis and wala rin siyang timeline. Yan.
Ganda, Doc. Ang ganda ng iyong sinabi. So, lots of love emotions na dumating sa ating Facebook page. On the similar note, there is a question from Maria Charina Rodriguez. Thanks for tuning in. I find it very easy to care for my mother when I just respond to what she wants. But can I really trust her? Does she really know what's good for her? Napakaganda.
Ang ganda. Tsaka realistic din to, Josh, no? Kasi, di ba parang, no, paano ko ba ma-validate kung okay na pala yung ginagawa ko? No? Lalo na Alzheimer's yung situation. So with you, Maria, you're very good in addressing already the needs, no? Pero we're just parang trying to be reactive, no? Which na-address mo naman. Pero if you could just push yourself mga 2 steps further to be proactive, no? Meaning, ano pa kaya yung pwede pa bang i-extend na care, no? So, to answer you, kailangan mong i-validate sa kanya and not just judge on face value na mukhang okay naman ata, no? So, kahit may Alzheimer's, kausapin pa din, no? Kasi, lang naman yan, parang meron pa rin namang point na okay naman siya kausap, no? At least mafe-feel niya. Yun. Kasi it's really hard to detect kung baka na-address mo yung physical, no? Pero paano yung emotional? Paano yung psychological? No, nung mother mo na may Alzheimer's, kailangan din ma-address. And when it comes to mental health, medyo tricky kasi yan. There's no barometer kung nasang part ka na ng mental health. Like, hindi mo alam na, teka, depressed na ba ako? May anxiety na ba ako? Wala namang measurement unless, let's say for fever, mag-thermometer ka, ay, lagnat. Inom akong gamot, paracetamol, or papa-COVID test ka sa nowadays, di ba? Pero with mental health, there's no barometer on where you are or where your loved one is, no? So it's very important to increase self-awareness, no? Na parang, ay, natitrigger na ako dito, gawan ko na ng paraan to address my mental health. When it comes to your loved one naman, kung hindi mo ma-detect, kasi mahirap magbasa ng utak, no? Talagang tatanungin siya, Mami, ano nararamdaman mo ngayon? So when you interact with your mom, samahan mo siya ng mga emotions, no? Kasi I'm sure you're doing great, no, sa pag-alaga sa mom mo and responding on what she wants. So probably may gusto siya kainin, nabibigay, monitor yung kanyang kanyang katawan, no? Okay yung supplements. Pero ang siguro to add dun sa kanyang care, include yung kanyang emotional and mental health. Yan.
How do we navigate the hiya Kasi big ano yan eh, big part ng ating culture yung hiya. So, let's say, gusto ko pa ng kanin, pero nahihiya ako. Or I feel like a burden. So, gusto ko ilipat yung channel, pero nahihiya ako. So, paano ba siya? How do we really...
Oo nga eh. Kapag ano kasi Filipino values, no? Laging may duality diyan. Ibig sabihin, yung concept ng hiya, for example, pwedeng positive, pwedeng negative. So, hiya na positive would be parang ano bang hiya na positive? Parang ayaw mong agrabyado, no? So, parang concerned ka dun sa other person. Pero ang negative effect naman, papunta sa'yo, hindi mo naman ma-express, no? So, parang yung Filipino values natin and culture, laging may duality which is very interesting phenomenon. Katulad ng utang na loob, 'di ba? Parang bayad ka ng bayad sa kanya kasi may utang na loob ka dati to your expense na you cannot live your life anymore. Parang nakaano ka kasi may utang na loob ako. Pero pwede maging positive kasi ina-acknowledge mo yung gratefulness mo, no? So in this case ng hiya na hindi mo masabi, kailangan siyang balansehin eh. Pero it's very, very challenging, Josh, kasi it's innate, no? Part ng culture natin. Oo, so try to ano muna, parang little baby steps, no? So kung sobrang nahihiya ka talaga, pwedeng ano muna, anak, maganda ba yung pinapanood mo? Ayan, ano ba yan? O sige, let's say Netflix, di ba? Nag-Netflix ka. Okay lang ba pwedeng manood tayo ng news together? Yan. So, you could break it into chunks na hindi dire-diretso kung talagang mahiyain kayo. Pero ito po sana yung kailangan natin overcome lalo na if we need something genuinely, no? Na hindi tayo 100%. Like, kunyari, nahihirapan na po kayo huminga, nahihiya ka sabihin kasi nahihiya ka dalhin sa hospital. Yun po yung mga parang non-negotiables na we need to break, no? I-accept po natin, wag po kayong mahiya or mag-guilty, no, sa loved ones nyo kasi mas parang stress natin sila by not communicating earlier, no? Syempre mag-worry talaga sila. So kung kaya din natin i-prevent 'yon by constantly talking to them, mapapaganda pa 'yon.
So, wag mahiya. Yun yung
Wag
solution.
mahiya, oo. Lalo na kung kailangan, lalo na sa kung health, no? Non-negotiable po yung health, no? Please, 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 please talk kung may nararamdaman po.
I think dito nga magbo-boil down yung lalim ng relationship at tiwala, no? So, alam natin na mauunawaan tayo. Kailangan natin mag-open up. Kasi hindi naman mababasa yung isip natin, di ba? So, we need to, to trust. Interesting question from Benjamin Rueda. So, ang question is, what about if you have a serious financial problem and my relatives also have a difficulty financing in terms of finances? What solution can I do? It is very realistic.
Totoo yan. At saka ang hirap din sagutin, no? Kasi yung financial independence, wala naman kasing it's a critical aspect, no, when we get to older adulthood kasi hindi naman natin to masyadong na factor in, no, or considered properly kasi hindi rin naman natin alam yung unexpected costs, no, and paano ba mag-ipon sa isang bagay na we don't know the price eventually? Magkano ba yon, 'di ba? Walang exact number kasi to aim when saving, no? So, I'm sure a lot of us would have this situation, no? So, kapag ganito, kunyari kailangan nyo ng, hahanap ulat talaga tayo ng mga libre. Like, if meron yung mga government na libre na check-up, no? Kunyari, where I work sa Pasig City General Hospital, libre po ang psychological assessment, no? So, kung kailangan ng mental health concerns, pwede po doon, no? Sa PGH, ganun din. So, essentially, let's look at what the government could offer. Alam ko medyo matagal yung turnaround time. Meron din siguro mga NGOs that you could explore kung ano po yung kailangan nyo. So yun, mahirap, lalo na pandemic, no, Josh? Parang sabay-sabay na, work became unstable, no? Kahit yung mga kamag-anak, meron ding mga financial hardships. Pero amidst nito, Benjamin, no, I hope na yung mental health mo parang still fighting, no, still there, na parang you're living day by day. Kasi ano eh, yung the way you're telling it to us, parang maraming uncontrollable, parang hindi natin makontrol yung variables ng income, no? So yon, so I hope your mental health is in check din, pati yung physical health, and hopefully ano, ang makahanap ng mga alternatives dun sa may gastos, mapalitan ng mga other programs that would uh, parang subsidize it.
Yan. So, I think, summary, ang nakuha ko dun is may mga libreng programa na ino-offer. Siguro po, kapag limitado yung resources natin, hahanapin na lang muna natin yung mga nag-o-offer nito, no? So, tsaga-tsaga tayo. Kami rin po, no? Meron kaming free physical therapy program para sa mga wala pong budget, no? Makipag-ugnayan lang po sa amin, pwede po kayo mag-message at i-screen namin kayo at i-waitlist namin kayo para makapagpa-therapy kayo kahit limitado ang ating budget. Okay. Now, this is an interesting question from Fabi Villaluna sa YouTube naman. May nag-tune in din sa ating YouTube. Would you know what's the situation for the people living in nursing homes or assisted living facility? What's it like to be in there?
I could speak as a psychologist doing some advocacy work, no, sa mga ganong facilities. Okay sila in a sense na there's a sense of community. Okay? So parang shared experiences kasi pareho ng sitwasyon. Minomonitor yung health, parehong tumatanda, no? So may community ka that you feel na parang you could relate to. So yun yung advantages ng nasa facility, no? Nursing homes. Tapos may mga advantages like may doctors, may nurses, no? Minsan may psychologists, that's why I went to one, no? Yun. So when it comes to all aspects, covered naman. Siguro kung ma-combine siya ng parang family also visiting, that would help, no? Pero there are also some facilities na parang would need, meron din kasi tayong demand, may scarcity rin tayo ng professionals, 'di ba? Kulang ang nurses, kulang ang doctors. Yan. Kaya may ibang facilities na it's not as many, no, na professionals. So it's something then that we need to solve as a nation, no? Kasi kabit-kabit po yung problems, no, yung challenges. Yan. Pero ang masasabi ko dun sa old parents being placed, if you think that you cannot take care 100% dun sa inyong parents, no, it's also good to consider nursing homes, no, para we could give the adequate care possible, lalo na medically. Pero kung kaya naman sa bahay, like more than one person is there to help out and really pwedeng alagaan, then okay lang din siya. At malapit sa hospital, like you have all the details covered na may magdadala sa hospital pag may emergency. Yon, may mga kamag-anak that would give yung sense ng community, no? Hindi lang yung nakaupo siya buong araw at inaantay-antay lang dumating yung mga tao, 'di ba? So you really, kung sakaling you decide na sa bahay, kailangan may program din na we need to follow, no? To assure na yung physical, mental, and social well-being ng elderly is mabibigay.
Ganda ang ganda rin nung schedule. I think this is something that we started with na in addition to what you mentioned, yung reflective listening, you did mention na yung schedule. Kasi pag retired na tayo, free-flowing na yung buong araw, di ba? Ano kayang gagawin ko? Lahat may trabaho. Speaking of which, gusto ko lang i-shout out ang aking patient, Mami Lynn.
Wow!
Lynn Teves. Hello. Welcome and thanks for tuning in. So yun, I think when we're having our sessions, isa din yan sa mga napapag-usapan namin, pati ng ibang patients ko. What do we actually do? What do we do now? In saying that, I want to segue to Miss Basi Santos Cruz, who is asking, siya mismo, as an octogenarian, cellphone ang aking best friend, constant companion. Is this healthy or is there a line that we shouldn't cross?
Okay, anything in excess is not good, no? So as much as possible, try to also, kung parang you're more into a cell phone person, try to mix it up also with listening to music, audiobooks, ganyan, or gardening, no, or walking a bit, no. Pero nowadays kasi na may pandemic, yung we resort to also our cell phones, no. Ako rin guilty diyan, no, Basi. Ayun. So it's really a matter of ano ba yung purpose mo on engaging in sa cellphone. Is it really checking kung ano ginagawa ng mga tao sa Facebook, tapos will it give me parang pangs of jealousy, or ma-question, made-depress ba ako? So in principle, anything that you do that elicits a positive behavior and mindset, retain. Okay?
Mhm.
Yung mga toxic, no, whether cellphone yan or kung ano man, yun yung you need to lessen or take out. No? So, medyo kung parang itong cellphone mo constant companion mo in a good way, then okay lang sa akin. Pero haluan lang ng physical exercises, and then also some social skills, no, para buo lagi yung definition ng health, no. Yan.
Kaya I'll add to that kasi social media is sobrang important ngayon. Tulad ngayon, nasa Facebook tayo. Lahat
Mm.
naman, karaniwan ng Filipinos, malaki tayo we're big on Facebook. And ang ganda nung sinabi mo na sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it's toxic. So, I know some people, like for example, pag nagiging inggitan na yung purpose. So let's say we post photos kasi gusto natin magpainggit, di ba? I think those are negative, no? Tama ba ako? Let's say, may
Correct.
handa, tapos pinapakita natin ang lechon natin or ganito. So, yun lang. Siguro that's something I've observed din growing up as Filipino. Medyo common siya in our behaviors na nagpapataasan ng ihi. No? So, I think if you can stay away from that, stay away from the negative one.
Oo.
Follow.
Bale, oo. So, ganun, Josh, no? So, minsan, magpo-post tayo ng lechon kasi masaya tayo dun sa ating, kunyari, celebration, no? Ang tricky dyan, pag yung taong nakakita nun, paano siya, ano yung mafe-feel niya? So, nasa receiver yung control kung titingnan mo talaga yung lechon post or hindi. No? So, like with us, no, we cannot control what's on our social media. Kung if you could gauge na it will elicit negative thought patterns or mafe-feel bad kayo, dun kayo mag-refrain. Yun. Kasi hindi natin makontrol kung sino yung mga nagpo-post eh. So, receiver dapat yung magde-decide.
Tama ka, ang ganda nun. Kasi syempre, if you'll consider everyone's feelings, baka di ka naman na mag-post. Pero masaya ka lang naman talaga dahil masarap naman ang lechon. No? So, there's that factor then na we cannot please everyone. No? Nasa sa kanila yun. Kung feeling ba nila na nagpapainggit ka o masaya ka lang. So, it's really, I think, ko bahala. Tayo na bahala. May follow-up si Fabi. How affordable are nursing homes, the private ones, and then are there government facilities like in Pasig where you're working?
Okay. Yung unang dalawang questions probably, Josh, based dun sa answers ni Doc kanina. No, kasi wala akong idea. Pero sa Pasig, magandang question to. Ang marami kasi for children, no? Na parang yung mga children na napabayaan, ganyan. Sa nursing homes parang wala, not in my knowledge. Okay, pero babalikan kita dyan, Fabi, to be sure. No, I'm just giving you an honest answer. Oo, na parang mas nakakoncentrate on other. Yun nga no, kailangan talaga bigyan ng importance no yung aging process, katulad sa Singapore, yung Singapore model, no, na masyadong in charge yung government sa aging population, na it's covered within their budget. No, sana meron din tayong ganung paradigm as a national government, no, when it comes to our elderly. Kasi parang hindi ganun ka, I mean, it needs a lot of improvement when it comes to preparations from facilities to programs.
From what I know, Fabi, kasi I looked into this because I'm into elderly care for physical therapy. So there's a facility that I think it's in San Juan. And parang yung fees doon ay about 25,000 per month. I think that's one at least isang idea. If you think about it, getting all the care that you need for that amount, I think that's reasonable enough. No, of
All
course,
in na
depends.
siya, Josh. All
Yeah,
in.
from what I know, from what I've heard, there's one facility that's that. That's not bad actually. No, especially if you've planned for it. So and then babalikan ka namin, Fabi. We'll
Mm.
get more information on that.
Mm-mm.
Siguro last few questions. Yeah, and these were offline
Mm.
questions submitted beforehand. So, how do we deal naman from an elderly? Paano kapag overprotective ang mga bata or yung mga children na nag-aalaga sa'yo? How do we deal with this?
Kulang na lang di ka pagalawin, ganun ba, Josh? Ay, yung parang, mami,
Binabalikan ka na.
oo, gaganon ka lang. Parang, wag, bawal yan. Wag mo kainin yan. Parang, teka lang, so hindi na lang ako gagalaw dito. Oh. Um, sige. You need to do your part muna, no? Baka naman kasi overprotective sila kasi, of course, they care. Tapos, hindi tayo mindful sa certain aspects, no? Kunyari, kung gandahan nyo yung inyong blood chemistry, yung mga results, no? It would give assurance sa inyong anak na healthy kayo. Then, you can somehow, occasionally, eat certain portions, no? Pero, we also need to do our part in assuring our kids na ay okay naman si mami, no? I'm walking 15 minutes, 30 minutes a day, no? I'm interacting with a lot of with my apo, ganyan. So, meron din tayong effort to give para to show, no, na yung behavior natin is worthy not to be too overly protective. Ngayon, kung overprotective pa rin sila, ginawa mo na lahat, I think it's time for a conversation, no? Na, sandali, kaya nga ako nag-senior, tapos i-restrict mo ako, 'di ba? So, mag-negotiate po kayo. Ano yung pwedeng activity na okay sa kanila na is reasonable and rational, pero ano naman yung parang because gusto nyo lang and it's not very healthy. Yon. So, it's an honest conversation that needs to happen. Yon.
Okay, mag-usap, mag-usap.
Mm.
Okay, I have a very juicy question here.
Gano'n ka-juicy to? Okay, juicy nga.
At age, is sex still necessary for satisfying a relationship with your spouse? Diba? Very
Mhm.
conservative kasi ang society
Mhm.
na Filipino, at least.
Mhm.
Paano ba to? Ano ba ang tama?
Eto bang partner mo needs sex, no? At kaya mo pa naman? If that's the case, I think it's a healthy sex life, no? Marami ring stigma na parang pag tumanda ba hindi na ba pwede mag-sex, 'di ba? So, I think actually it's a good physical workout, no? Among other benefits, no? So I think it's kapag yung satisfying relationship kasi it could be emotionally driven, it could be physically driven, no? Pero kung able naman kayong dalawa, I think it's a healthy kind of bonding, okay? Ngayon pag hindi kaya ng one partner, then you need to compensate on other things, no? To ensure na satisfied siya.
Ganda. So, there's the physical component, there's that emotional component, and I think in any relationship, we have to communicate. Tama ba? Kasi nga, baka nga din pa-perceive natin na ito yung pangangailangan, pero hindi naman pala. So, we really have to be open about it. Okay? Ayun. So, I think this was really, really wonderful. And let's wrap it up. I think there was just one. If you were gonna give recommendations, Rhea, just to wrap up the whole conversation, do you have tips to how we can age gracefully? That can be the wrap up of our whole conversation.
Oo. Ang definition ng health, no, according to the World Health Organization, is dapat okay daw yung physical health ninyo, yung social well-being nyo, tsaka yung mental health. No, it cannot be just one component na malakas kayo, no, or lacking on some. So try to do introspection, a deep reflection of your current situation. Am I lacking dun sa physical aspect? Then gawan ko siya ng paraan. Kamusta ba yung mental health ko? Kamusta ba yung interactions ko? Kasi yun ang components ng overall uh, health, no? And you deserve to live a full life. And it doesn't mean na parang you're at this stage, nasa old age tayo, na parang we lose track of life, no? We're still living, no? So we have to pull through until the end, no? So just savor each moment, no? Try to reflect. Usually yung mga gantong age, Josh, existential identity. Nagre-reflect yan. Okay ba yung meaning of life? Nahanap ko ba yung purpose? No?
Mhm.
Nakapagbigay ba ako ng legacy? No? So ito yung parang may stage si Eric Erickson, isang psychologist, integrity versus despair, ang 65 years old and above. Doon naman sa adulthood, 26 hanggang 64 years old, generativity versus stagnation, meaning parang nabigay ko ba yung love, no? Na-prepare ko ba yung next generation? So, at this stage, mas marami po kayong questions to reflect on than sometimes answers, no? Pero just try to namnamin, no, yung moment na nadaanan nyo lahat ng stages, no? And at this time, yun, balik ulit sa sarili, no? And always take care dun sa tatlong components: physical, mental, and social well-being.
Napakaganda. I really enjoyed this conversation. Ayan, si Ma'am Zenaida. Nakikinig pala sila pa din.
Oo nga.
Thank you po.
Ayun.
Salamat sa lahat.
Salamat.
At sana po ay natuwa kayo sa ating mga conversation ngayon. Marami pa pong susunod na community talks. So hopefully, we can still have you on our next chats. And this is Josh Manoharan of Kakayanan Physical Therapy. If you ever need our services po, we're just one message away. Meron kaming nila-line up ng mga physical exercises, group exercises para sa mga seniors sa mga susunod na linggo. So, tune in lang po kayo. Follow our social media pages. And if you need, Rhea, if we need your services, how do we find you?
Well, you could just message this number. Ay, paano ba? 0917-792-9696.
0917
792-9696.
792
9696.
Ayan, sige, ipa-flash
Ayan.
natin para
Salamat.
chat nyo na lang po.
So that's for any scheduling or questions na kailangan sagutin. 792. 792, Sir Josh.
Buti natin. Mali.
Baka
Ito muna. Here. 0917
792 9696.
Text. Tao. Ayan. Tama po ba?
Yan. Tama po. Ayan.
And for mental health consultations or kung gusto niyo lang ng professional advice, andyan po si Miss Rhea para sa inyo. I really, really enjoyed this conversation. I am looking forward to my old age. Sana maging hindi na ako natatakot tumanda. Salamat po sa lahat at stay connected. Magdasal po tayo. Take care of ourselves so that we can take care of other people also. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon and see you on our next community talk.
Salamat, Josh and everyone.
Thank you.